It is prepping to go live. We might have to scoot over to Zoom then if this works that much better.
Yeah. Okay. I see us.
I see us. Fantastic. Gallery. There we go. Now, how do you guys see it? Because I see it with 4 of us up there in the quadrants. Or do you just change it how you want?
All right. It looks like we're live.
Yeah, I think so.
On. Flipping finally. Okay, friends. So yeah, we had to do a little bit of a makeshift programming. We will no longer be coming to you from Be Live ever again. We can never get everybody on and working at the same time. So we got a new program here. We're going to do Zoom, and we might just stick with this if this goes smoothly. I don't know. Are we able to see any like, I don't know if we're going to be able to see any like comments or anything, are we?
You'll want to open up another page to what's going on and just turn the sound off is what I do if I want to see the rolling column.
On the Facebook. Got it.
And then there's a chat if people join, because we have to add them as a panelist. There's a chat that they can put Q&A up in. And we would ask that they put questions instead of putting stuff in chat. So 2 ways to watch.
Got it.
Okay. It might be worth trying for the next couple of weeks, and
yeah,
we'll see.
Definitely going for something different. So I went onto the page and I'm not seeing it. You guys are seeing us on there though?
Oh yeah, we're on.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We're getting hearts and thumbs ups and all kinds of things.
Yay! So. All right. Well then, let's get the show rocking.
Some tears, some angry people. I don't know.
Ooh.
Let's see. He said, I don't think that anyone will be joining the Zoom, just on Facebook. Rock on. Okay. So, friends, if you have been following anything about anything here over the past day, it's been going on a little bit longer, but I think it's finally come to a boiling point, as you can see by everybody's Facebook profile pictures. So some people are here to find out what the heck is going on because they just don't know, and that's totally fine. Some people are here because they're all amped up and probably want to get some of the details and or just cheer the good fight on. I guess we're gonna look at that. So what we're talking about is the llamas that are on everybody's Facebook profile. And as you can see, we have, and you might have to correct me on this, is it David Kadoff?
It's Kadoff.
David Kadoff. Okay.
Yeah.
Dave Kadoff and Mr. Ken Rio. Obviously, me and Amy are here as well, but our guests that are going to come here and totally help us out with this, very, very important. And I really appreciate that too, because this is something that, you know, I talked to or was chatting with Amy earlier today. I was like, well, obviously we have got to dress the llama in the room. Like, it has to happen. But, you know, Amy is very big on providing, you know, really solid factual information. And I feel like recently I've been getting bits and pieces and able to kind of put them together. But I didn't want to, you know, mislead anybody. I think there's nobody better than both of you guys to be able to bring some clarity and, you know, just kind of truth out on what's going on so that there's not all this hearsay and craziness going on. So I really appreciate you guys being on here. And Ken, you might just be part co-host with us for the remainder of the time. I mean, so, all right. Well, anyways, we just got back from the Seattle conference, which was absolutely incredible. You know, Ken was there and he actually, you know, helped put it on, and Dave spoke, and it was an actual amazing talk and everything. And I think that, I don't know, what is it that you guys are charging? Like a couple $100 for the video? What do you guys?
No, replay. We got to get the edit together, but yeah, it'll come out, it'll be $99.
$99. Okay, you guys, seriously, if you guys don't get that, like, I mean, it's because I'm not this wasn't even just about merch. This was about business. There was a lot of high level stuff there. I was like soaking it all up. I was there for the full 3 days. I soaked up every bit of it. There was things that I was able to apply just in a general business sense. So I appreciate what you guys put together because it was incredible.
A lot of work. Props out to Chris. A lot of stress. It's been a fun thing talking about the last 3 or 4 months, and maybe next year we'll be a little more prepared. How's that sound?
Well, you guys looked like you had it all together. So, I mean, it was awesome. Thank you for letting us just come in and sit back and relax and have a good time. And obviously meeting everybody was amazing as well. That's always one of the biggest parts. But I mean, the content was up there. So, yeah, if you guys have not thought about getting the replay, you'll be silly not to. Definitely do it. So, Amy, should we get down to business?
Yeah, let's get down to, I was going to say like llama tags, but that doesn't make sense. So let's get down to brass tags.
let me put this out there first, though. This doesn't even need to be a llama discussion.
No, it doesn't.
It's not. This is any frivolous mark that's out there. And I'm going to put this out there. You fire a warning shot over the bow of the community, some people fire back. And for the longest time, people have just pushed their way around on stuff like this, and the pushing's over. I and many others are just done with it. If you want to make threats are coming back in there in the terms of attorneys. So if that wants to be a warning shot, bring it on. I mean, this is business. We're not messing around here, and you're messing with people's businesses, you're messing with people's lives, and you're doing it in a frivolous way. And this whole concept of I'm making a brand and I'm going to take everybody else down and kill them. No, sorry, doesn't work that way. And this one just hit the fan this week because you have somebody that comes out and posts in all the groups and says, hey, everybody, I'm going to warn you, don't get violations and get terminated because I'm putting out a takedown. Oh, really? Okay, what's your trademark? Oh, it's for a mobile application. Yeah, because my trademark covers everything in the class. Yeah, you might want to talk to an attorney because that's absolute trash. And I'm going to say it like that because this one infuriates me, and it should infuriate the community. This is wrong. This is not the way it works. And just because you got a brand, and that's why I say it's anybody. If you've got a brand and do something like this, it's time for the community to get mad enough and say enough's enough. This is not the way it works. We're not going to be pushed over. And this is just a cancer in the whole POD arena right now, is people thinking that they can trademark any phrase out there. And this is a good one. Drama Llama, really? You think you created that one? That's laughable. You created some art contained within the whole meme structure of the universe, but go back and do just a tiny bit of research. And you can't even claim ignorance on this one, because anybody that comes out and creates something and says that they have created something, I thought this up, the first thing you do is go do a search. So if you did a trademark search on the original trademark, you know that this was already out there. You didn't create it. So I'm going to get off the soapbox a little bit, but I just want to set that straight, is enough's enough. And last year I said at the conference, I brought up the idea of a trademark association, and because this was getting frustrating, and I said, we need to start something. That was last year. We had 0 people. This year we've got over 5,000 people. And I said it at the conference on the stage. I said, next year I want 25,000. There's no reason we're not at that, because this affects every one of us. And as a community, we're done being pushed around as single people. And people are going to start to be sued because some of these takedowns have been completely frivolous. You're costing people money. And people are now realizing that, wait a minute, this was not done properly. We've talked to the USPTO on some of this stuff. And the USPTO, their first comment to us is, well, that's not the way trademark works. And they're right. But what's working is people are being trademark bullies. They're getting a trademark and calling it their own. And this is a prime example, and coming after everybody. We have people in the community right now saying we need to take down shirts too, because she's applied for a trademark in that arena. That's not right. I mean, it hasn't even gone through process. And I'm sorry, like I said, the statement is, you want to fire a warning shot over the bow, we're going to start firing back. And go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, the funny thing is with this, and this is, it took me a while to grasp. To be honest, like, obviously being new in this space, trying to figure this out, figuring out what trademark is or whatever, and realizing that there's reason why there's, IP attorneys and there's trademark law and there's actually courts that hear this stuff. Because obviously there can be somewhat of a gray area sometimes, but if she wouldn't go and take down, there's drama llama everywhere, right? Whatever. If she's not going to go to everyone else and put her money with an attorney and have them start taking down, because you know why? It wouldn't hold up in court. She knows that she's not going to take these people to court because she doesn't have anything. Yet she's abusing the system because Amazon doesn't want to, for good reason, doesn't want to, put themselves out there because they don't have to. They don't need to take on all of that risk. And I totally get it. But that's total abuse. And so with that, what's going to happen is, like you said, they're going to get lawsuits in the other direction because people are not going to stand for it anymore. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to lose their trademark. And so I think that's kind of what we're kind of on the verge at with us as a community kind of coming together and being fed up with all of this.
Well, I mean, there's a interesting principle when you talk about trademarks, and there's some flack that's been thrown around dealing with trademarks and applications and letters of protest and all this. And I just simply said, you know what, if somebody feels that there's a trademark they feel is frivolous or is coming after something that is in their business, if a trademark applicant or a trademark owner is not willing to defend the mark, they don't deserve the mark. And that's just the way it is. This is business. This is not playing around with emotion. This is not, he said, she said. I mean, you're playing with the USPTO, you're playing with federal regulations, and let's start diving into this. And I bring up the example when we're talking about defending trademarks. It's kind of simple. It's kind of a symptom of what's going on within the classes that we're dealing with print on demand. We've kind of come into a weird crux, because if you go into some of the other classes, and I use this example, if you have Jim's Taco Shop and Jim's Taco Shop trademarks Jim's Taco Shop, does that mean he goes out to the restaurant industry and takes down everybody with the word taco in their name? Which is essentially what's happening in the shirt, apparel, print on demand business. Oh, you have this phrase, everybody has to come down. That's not the way it works. And that's the overreach that's occurring. And that it's come because people are finding a way to compete. And the way they figured out to compete is put in a phrase, get the trademark, and go put it into Redbubble, go put it into TeePublic, put it into merch. And I don't blame any of them for saying, okay, take all this stuff down. We've got a complaint. They're the printer, they're the seller. Merch by Amazon is not going to take up a legal battle on this. And some of these trademark trolls are figuring that out. And I don't blame them at all. It's up to us as a community to come together and say, hey, we realize what's going on. We're going to stand together. And when you get takedowns, let's look at this legally. Let's talk to legal counsel and let's proceed. Let's proceed as adults in business and do this the way it's supposed to be done.
Well, and, coming into now it being print on demand, and I think it's clear that that's why this is getting so messy, because before, pre-print on demand, if you're going to go get a trademark on something, that's because you are creating a brand. And they even ask for the examples or specimens or whatever, to where you have your tag in the shirt, because you're creating an actual brand, which means you're not only investing in creating a brand where you have your tags. Think of how much it costs to just do a full line of shirts with your tags in them. So when you're doing that, that's what it was for. When somebody is going to invest all their time and money and energy into working on building a brand in that regard, not just deciding that they found a cute word that's been out there forever and they're the first ones to make it and pay $250 to try and get this thing trademarked, and then all of a sudden nobody that can use that on their shirt. That doesn't make any sense. But that's what's going on.
Dave? You're sitting there quiet. What do you want to add?
Yeah, it takes a while to build a brand to where it's worthy to be trademarked. We joke in the admin group that there's something I coined called Kadoff's Law, which means the longer a discussion goes on about trademarks, the more the likelihood of somebody bringing up Nike and just do it reaches 100%. So let's just go right there right now. So Nike, we all know who it is. Do you know when Nike trademarked their name? It was 1972. Yeah. 1972. Now everybody says, yeah, well, what about Just Do It? Just do that. Just do it. Do you know when they trademarked Just Do It for clothing class, which is International Class 025, which is what most of us play in? Do you know what year that was trademarked? 2014.
Wow.
They waited 42 years to trademark something. And in that interim time, they spent billions and billions of dollars associating those three words with their trademark. Well, I'm sorry, 6 months of selling something. You didn't build a national brand or even, you know, an international, even a national brand. It takes time to do that. And that's what we're fighting against, is we're fighting against people that really want to prematurely trademark something instead of building the brand first. And there are, you know, you don't have to even trademark something. There's other things you can do. You're probably better off if you have a really good design around your trademark, copyright that first. It's much cheaper and it's much quicker. It's virtually instantaneous. So just do that. Trademarking can take a year or more, depending on how much opposition or how much work that they have to do. So I just, you know, if Nike can wait 42 years to trademark Just Do It, heck, everybody that's listening to this can wait a little bit of time and build a really good brand that's distinctive. Distinctive just means that people can associate your brand with, and they know it's, whatever it is, Just Do It, we know it's associated with Nike.
Yeah, I think that's a key point, Dave, that you're bringing up, is the association, the confusion within the marketplace.
Right.
Most of these phrases that are being trademarked right now, if you were to put it out that so-and-so just trademarked whatever the phrase is, it's going to be phrase X or phrase B. If you were to ask the general public or even people within a small circle within Facebook, most people wouldn't have a clue who they are. The complete confusion as to who created that. And the most common excuse that we hear from people that get challenged on this, and Dave, you've heard it, oh, I created the phrase.
Right.
And I know some people have created phrases. You know, there's some out there that were the first one out there, and they put out the shirt or they put out the print material, and they were the first. But that doesn't necessarily mean they were a brand or had a brand or anything like that. But this whole idea that something goes viral and goes crazy and it's been around for 10 or 12 years, and then somebody comes in with a hot new idea. Well, you know what? Trademark the logo.
Right.
Don't, this is the problem. They're going after word marks, and the only reason they're going after those word marks is because they know they can kill off the rest of the competition. They want to squeeze the competition right out of the field. There's no other rhyme or reason to do that. And we saw it with Classy. Let's straight up. I mean, Classy issues the takedown, and it's for any time you use the word Classy in any phrase, in any form, in any keyword, anything like that. That's not the way trademark works.
No.
And there's other people that were going for a design mark. And just what is a design mark? It could be just a picture, or it could be a picture with words associated with it, but it's stylized. And people were going for that stylized design mark, and it was sailing through. And then they decided, wait a minute, I'm not going to be able to take down my competitors if I do a design mark. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to abandon that design mark. I'm going to do a word mark, which is literally just words without any stylization, no font, no color. And the reason they're doing that is because they want to destroy your business. They want to take you down. And they know that that's a loophole with the print on demand platforms in particular. And it's endemic, and well, if you were in Seattle, you know, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to fight every single one.
Yeah, it's a cancer. It's a cancer within the industry. Is what's happened, and it's a unique cancer. I mean, I've talked to some attorneys that don't even understand that this is occurring like this. Amazon in some areas wasn't completely up to date that this is actually the way it's being applied, and it gets worse. I'll talk about some of the people that we think may be a trademark troll out there. They're not necessarily a troll. Yeah, they've gone out and got some phrases, but they've had people that have figured this out before and are coming after them. So let's say I had a shop with 50 different phrases and they're selling well. All of a sudden somebody comes in and says, oh, there's a neat phrase, there's a neat phrase. I'm going to trademark those. And that big seller of that phrase, I'm going to come in and issue takedowns to his Shopify. I'm going to issue takedowns to Google because I have a trademark now. Well, what do you think that person's going to do? They're going to start trademarking their own phrases just to keep the bigger fish out of their pond. And now we've evolved into this just cancerous system of everybody thinking I need to grab as many phrases as I can and take everybody else down and protect my stuff. And that's really what the problem is here. It would be like Nike saying I invented the shoe and taking down every other shoe company. It's really sad to see businessmen working like this, but I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, business is rough, business is mean, and people get fraudulent and do whatever they can to take somebody else's money.
And just to add to that is when you look at a trademark, the way it was supposed to work is that you build a brand, you get a trademark, and then it prevents new people from coming in and leveraging your trademark and confusing the marketplace. What's been happening is sort of the opposite. You create a trademark after other people have been using the phrase. And then you go in afterwards and say, I got it now. You guys are all out of business. That was not what it was for. That isn't, this stuff won't or shouldn't, I shouldn't say won't, but it shouldn't really hold up in court. We just haven't been in a position yet to have enough people to go and challenge some of these things in court, which is something we would love to do. Which is the point we're getting to right now. We now have the people, we now have people that are realizing things that are going on. The Patreon is starting to kick in. I mean, we're not as a single person in the corner wondering, how do I deal with this takedown? Now you've got advice, you've got people helping you out. And I'll tell you what, darn right, you can gather together 100 people that have been hit and form a suit and go after people. And that's what's got to happen. Until people stop sitting on their hands on this, saying, oh, I got hit with another one, I'm going to have to go away. I'm going to have to find another phrase. Once people start standing up to these people, what we see is they back off in a hurry. Because what happens is if it goes to court, almost all of these, I'm going to put my opinion out there, and I'm not a legal opinion, but they're going to back off because they're not going to want to spend money on something that their own attorney is going to tell them you're going to lose on this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice you got the trademark, and I don't blame the USPTO on this. I don't blame them one bit. The USPTO is following the guidelines that they have been set out with. And now that we've got some conversation going with them, they see what's occurring, and now they're aware as to what to look for. You have to understand that each examining attorney at the USPTO has a certain caseload to go through, and they don't spend all day long looking like we would at Google, finding all these little ins and outs, knowing the nuances of our industry. We need to provide them with the information, and when the information's in front of them, they make it a guided choice as to what their decision will be. And we're seeing that decision now is likely coming back in favor of knocking out those applications. And we're going to see the same thing with trademarks that are registered, that have gone through the system and in some ways hoodwinked the USPTO. I lay the blame of this on trademark trolls. They have caused this problem. They have found a way in which to knock down their competitor, and they're using the trademark system to do it. It's nothing to go to some of these trolls and go look at their webpage, some of these guys, and they have, 20 or 30 trademarks, Dave? It has nothing conducive to their brand. It's just a t-shirt page with 50 different trademarks up on their page. And they're just bragging out that, hey, I can knock everybody else down. Nobody else can touch this stuff. Now I'm safe. What's the next phrase I go after? The next phrase that becomes popular immediately. And some of these brands that are being made, I mean, they're being thrown up just overnight to try and show, see, I have a brand. You don't have a brand. The consumer doesn't look to you as being the brand, and that's just simply the way it is.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to spend 42 years and billions of dollars, I promise 42 years later, I won't protest it. You go for it. But until then, make an effort. Don't try to make everybody go out of business.
Well, I see a comment right now about blaming the USPTO for being lax. Not lax. I wouldn't say they're lax at all. They work very hard. They work just as hard as you at their business. It's just a matter of guiding them as to what's going on. I guarantee 2 years ago, any one of us could put a trademark through if we were counseled the right way to do it and slough it right by them and get these phrases. What's happening now is we're onto them and take notice. I mean, people know that these LOPs are going to be filed. The USPTO now expects LOPs to come in on these applications if somebody feels it frivolous. The mountain we're facing now, though, Dave, how many trademark applications have been put in this year?
Well, I went and looked it up for when our group started. So you started the group on February 6th of this year. I went back to February 1st. Just in class 025, which is the class, like I said, we all play in, there were just short of 35,000 trademarks filed since February 1st. So I think it was 34,508.
In this class, right?
Just in 025, just in some kind of apparel, t-shirts, kimonos, whatever. But it's definitely class 025.
And they're not all frivolous.
No. And that's a great point, because people do claim that we fight everything and we're in the business of trying to stop everybody from building a brand. Heck no, we filed maybe just about 200 letters of protest. That's it. That's not even a percentage point. That's less than a percentage point of what's been filed. We look, and really the ones we focus on are the ones we call widespread use. So that just means that if you do a search for that trademark and you go out and you see 200, 300, 500, 1,000 shirts already, well, guess what? You coming in later and trying to get a trademark for that, it's just not fair. That's not what the trademark system was designed for. And those are really the ones we target. We don't really go after the ones where we can sort of glean the intent. We can see somebody's built a brand. And then we're like, okay, great. They should get a trademark if they've gone through the effort and built a brand.
And that brings up a good point too. I mean, look at the Watchdogs. We got 5,300 members in there now. We filed just over 200 letters of protest. We've got a pretty good success rate on them. And we keep harping this, we keep preaching this, but if everybody took 15 minutes a week, and Dave showed us at the conference, you'll see that when you watch the replay or anybody that was there. How long, Dave, do you think somebody would take to do their first one?
I mean, if
20
it took,
minutes, half hour, maybe.
If it took 20 minutes, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and your next one, you're going to be cruising along at 10 or 15 minutes. And what I'm saying is, if we got half the people in that group, just half, to file one letter of protest a week, that'd be 2,500 a week. You see how the numbers start adding up now? And this is what I'm saying about a community. We need something like the Patreon. It's 1 cup of coffee a month. Can you imagine if 5,000 people gave 1 cup of coffee a month? As a single donation of $2, that does nothing. As a single letter of protest, it does very little. But as a group, when we band together, all of a sudden we turn into a tidal wave, and this changes the industry. The industry right now is taking note. They know we're here. We're like this thorn in their side. The USPTO knows we're there. Dave phones up the USPTO and they say, oh, Dave, we're waiting for your call, because they know it's coming on the last 10 letters of protest he filed. But if we can get people's mindset to change and to get upset about this enough and know what our rights are as creators and do something about it for 15 minutes a day, this whole industry changes.
And we're not just class 25 anymore. We filed letters of protest in, I think it's either 16 or 18, but whatever tote bags or handbags are. I think 16 is paper products. We've done those. So we've gotten more and more people outside the merch community, particularly makers in the Etsy community. They've come in and they're helping out with the things that matter to them. But the things that we teach, and that's really what we do. We just want to teach you how to do a letter of protest properly. Those things that we teach apply to every class. All you have to do is find the evidence. And guess what? We've all heard of the Google. We could probably do the Google and find stuff. We can find big sites like Amazon and small sites that have products that relate to the things that are important to you, whatever class your products are in. And we can teach you how to file those letters of protest and protect your business from people that want to hammer you. We hammer them instead.
Yeah, and go ahead, Amanda.
I was going to say, it's interesting because, again, going back to, working hard to learn this and working hard to be compliant from the beginning, it took me a little time to realize, there might not be a trademark on something. However, if I'm utilizing an idea that I recognize is piggybacking off of something else, that's a no-no. So this to me is totally on the flip side. So I'm like, this is insanity, because this isn't even, I can't even, we don't recognize that. I don't recognize that as a brand. Nobody's going to put something up there and be like, oh my gosh, they're jacking off Drama Llama. Nobody knows your brand. Like, that's just total crap. So that's the infuriating part, is that, as being somebody that is coming into this, trying to, again, learn and be compliant and everything. And then you have people that are coming in just being snakes. Like you're talking about people that have multiple like trademarks and multiple brands. People don't need to have multiple brands. I mean, and if they do, if you want to talk about, there's FUBU. How long did it take to build that? Let's talk about brands and how long it takes. What, you don't need 50 brands if you're doing it right. You're doing something seriously wrong if you need to have a gazillion trademarks. Obviously, you're not doing it right.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. It's an interesting one that this whole topic has become so complex as well in the backlight. The other side that we don't see a lot of, and I know a lot of new content creators don't see, is there's a lot of people now that have been forced into signing licensing agreements. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you don't agree with something, but to heck if I'm going to be stopped from using that phrase. And the only option you have right now legally by the USPTO, by the trademark law, is simply sign an agreement with them. It's, the only way you're going to get some of these phrases up on merch is going to have to be a rights agreement with these trademark holders. No matter how much you disagree with them, you're going to have to do that. So you've got this weird web that's coming together now. And now some of these trademark holders are realizing that and openly offering, well, I'll license that to you. Well, yeah, that's nice. So here's what I would recommend. Feel free to sign licensing agreements with trademarks. Get your shirts up. I mean, some money is better than no money, but make it very aware. And I've made this aware with some of the trademark holders that I've worked with, is that we hope the industry changes. We hope there's a day that you don't have to rely on holding these trademarks for bigger fish to come swallow you up. And I hope it just changes the industry totally. Now, there's going to be trademarks that are never touched that we're just going to have to deal with. But moving forward, that's two ways to fight this: is don't sit on your hands and say there's nothing I can do. Continue to earn a living for yourself. Continue to learn to use these phrases by setting up agreements. But on the flip side, fight it with all that you can. I mean, don't let applications go through. If you see an application that affects you, and I see this every day in Watchdogs, I found this new phrase that's being applied for. Oh, woe is me. What are we going to do about it? Well, the first statement I want to say is go watch the videos, go file a letter of protest because you've got at least one shirt it's going to affect of your business, and go do something about it. And if everybody did that, we change everything. And Merch is watching. Teespring, I've had discussions with them. We're working on trying to get discussions with Etsy. I mean, I want a roundtable of Redbubble, TeePublic, Threadless, every one of these guys. I want their community or content manager to sit at the table and say, hey, we're all competitors here, but this trademark deal has got to stop. I mean, we've got to fight back on this, and our creators got to have the ability to do this. And that's not to say we're against brands. I'm all for building the next Google. But I am not for the next Daddy Shark being a brand because you, quote, created it. That's not the way it works.
Now, what kind of changes are you hoping to see in the industry as we continue to band together?
I want, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but because this is not Ken, this is, I think, the community. I think we want to see people apply for trademarks that are really brands, that are really the Nike, that are really the Google. You come up with a really catchy brand, and you've got a style all of your own, and the community, the buyer market identifies with you as that brand. Go for it. You create something brand new, start off by trademarking it. Don't go into an industry and find 50,000 other people selling something that's hot this week because it's a trend. Nasty girl. Like, wow, this one hit it. I'm going to trademark it. You didn't make the phrase. You're just simply trying to kill off everybody else. And this is what we want to change in the industry. I want trademark trolls. I want you in the POD industry, if you're going to file for a trademark, to go get an attorney and make sure that you're doing this right. And I want the attorney to understand that a letter of protest will probably be filed. And you better make darn sure that you were either first or it is your brand, because if not, you're just trying to kill off the industry in this regard.
Yeah, I would also say no more takedowns. I mean, I'm sick of seeing that in groups where, like today, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah,
come on, ho, ho, ho. Really? You're kidding me.
I love the one
Go on.
I love the one I missed a few months ago. Don't tread on me. Oh, come on, really? Yeah, somebody's trademark, don't tread on me. Somebody's trademark 1776. And most companies that understand the way trademark works will never issue a takedown because it's very specific to their brand. They know you're not infringing on their brand. They know customers aren't confused. The line is crossed when I see somebody say, watch out, I'm issuing takedowns.
Yeah.
Right? Watch out, I'm issuing takedowns. Okay, really? So you haven't even studied what takedowns you're doing. You're just putting a blanket over the entire world and saying, it's mine. So too bad, so sad, don't use it in keywords. And they're taking advantage of POD platforms that are not going to fight them back. Merch by Amazon, I do not expect them to bring their attorney forward and say, okay, you're going to talk to our legal counsel right now. No, they're going to refer you to the person that you have a rights infringement with, and you're going to have to deal with each other. And in most cases, the content creator is either scared to do anything, they're worried about losing their account, don't have the funds to do something, don't know how the trademark owner will work. And on the flip side, the trademark owner is just saying, nobody's going to fight this. I took them all down and I'm scot-free and I'm going to move forward.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, oh, sorry, Mindy, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, and that's the other thing, why a lot of people are not fighting it or whatever is probably because they're not selling a zillion shirts because that brand's not hot. Like, it's not like it's popping off and they're like, oh, riding a wave. Like, no, it's just a fun little saying that think that people will come in and check. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Like you said, it's not what it was intended for. But sorry, go ahead, Amy.
No, I was going to bring it back to this whole Drama Llama thing and the takedowns that have been threatened for pop sockets. Does she have a llama to lean on with that, considering it's for some phone app and not necessarily a physical product? I've heard a lot of back and forth. What do y'all think about that?
If a bland statement or a bland phrase taken as a trademark in a certain class for a certain product is now granting that person coverage for every other product in that class and other classes, the whole world just changed when it comes to trademark law. Do you see the problem here? I mean, if you look at class 009 and you say, okay, I took out my trademark, it covers one thing. Oh, well, I have common law on everything else. Whoa, wait a minute. We're talking every kind of electronic mobile device or app that's downloaded. We're talking cell phone cases. We're talking applications. I mean, just go look at what that covers. And it's absurd. And this takes us to another step. Let's look at class 25, which covers most of our goods and services for apparel, t-shirts. It could take it further where we've been agreeing that, oh no, there's a trademark for t-shirts. Oh, well, they're taking my onesies down. Oh, I can't use the word onesies. That phrase is trademark, but my kids' sleepwear, that's coming down because I have the trademark in class 025. Well, most of it, the PODs don't want to deal with the legal problem. It's up to us to do that, but it's time to fight back. Just because you have a mobile app or just because you have t-shirts doesn't mean you get the whole kit and caboodle. You get the whole class, because if it did, wow, there's a lot of businesses out there that are going to lose some trademarks. A good example, and we were looking at this, if you've got class 009, go dig into the word unicorn and see how many people have the trademark for the word unicorn in class 009. There's more than one company, because there's more than one type of good and services that is not confused amongst the industry.
Well, and I think, I was going to say, one of the things when we're trying to look at this too, and I just thought about, you know, this example of, how about Apple? Okay, so that's a well-known, obviously name, but it's a regular word. Do you think that anybody's using Apple in their bullets or for any description of shirt, and Apple's not coming to take them down?
Right. Well, you can even get more specific. Look at like Lucky brand. Do you think Lucky is going around taking down St. Patrick's Day shirts because you put Lucky in there? No,
I mean, if you got the guy puking some Lucky Charms, you might be crossing some lines. It's a cute shirt, but you're crossing lines. Let's get that.
Those are all Ken shirts.
They're funny.
The moment there's confusion with the customer is when there's a problem. When a customer confuses a trademark brand with somebody else's product, then there's a problem. But we just hit the perfect storm in that. I mean, even Lucky, that's a great example, Dave, because I know at one time there's a discussion about Lucky. because there were some takedowns. But then some other people were saying, well, I didn't get taken down. And I think some of them were just crossing a little too close. They were calling it lucky clothing shirts or something. Like, it was almost confusing the customer as to making it sound like a lucky brand. But just because you're a lucky leprechaun at St. Patrick's Day, yeah, that stuff stays. So there's a line there, and we have to understand it. And the easiest way is, does it confuse the customer? And some of these phrases, man, if you went out and go to the local golf shop and there's whatever shirt with the funny phrase on it and it's got golfing, whoever's buying that has no clue that some of these people that are claiming it's their brand actually has any kind of a right to that brand. It's like Nike. How hard do you think Just Do It was to trademark? Pretty easy. There's no doubt in your mind. When you say the phrase Just Do It, yeah, it's Nike's.
No.
I mean, you only think of one company. When you say the word Nike, what do you think of? Well, when you're talking about apparel, when you're talking about sports equipment, when you're talking about shoes, you know it's one company. You think of the swoosh. Everything's around a brand. But Nike has also got another connotation that you can use the word Nike. If I wouldn't have any worry putting up a shirt that had the word Nike on it. It was completely dealing with what it is. Is it a Norse or an Olympic god, right? Nike has another reasoning. Google is a little different. Google's a made up word, right?
Right.
That's very tough to get around. But when we're talking about something like Apple, do I worry about putting up a shirt that's called, Apple in my eye for my teacher? No, don't worry at all. Even though Apple may have a trademark for the actual logo dealing on T-shirts, the confusion of there. And Apple would never come and say, everybody using the word Apple,
No.
you're getting taken down. Now, if they did that with merch would comply and take everything down. But Apple's not going to, because that's not the way trademark works.
Right.
And they open themselves up to liability, and they've got deeper pockets than a lot of people. Yes, they can fight it, but if they lose, they're going to lose a lot more too. So these companies understand that this practice shouldn't hold up in court, and they're not going to risk a large judgment over a couple of T-shirts. It's just not going to happen.
Now, do you think that a lot of these people are getting away with being bullies with their trademarks because A, they know people aren't going to fight back, but B, there's not a lot of consequence for them? Or I mean, is there consequence?
Guaranteed up to this point, they know that there isn't going to be fight back on it. People just take their shirts down. And me and David talked about this. We're waiting for the first real POD community content creator to sue one of these people.
Yeah.
Because we're getting general counsel right now that says these takedowns are crossing a line, and up till now, nobody's fought back. Because here's the thing, if I have a phrase and I'm selling 10 shirts a month on this phrase, does it make sense for me to get a lawyer and go after this guy? No. But you know what happens is you get 100 people that got taken down, and all of a sudden you see that the collective sales are, I don't know, 100 or 200 shirts a week. All of a sudden you start to see the dollars. You see where these trademark trolls are figuring this out, saying, if I collectively take everybody down, I capture 100 or 200 sales a week on this phrase. So the last thing they want the community to do is to get those 100 sellers together that all got taken down and say, hey, class action, hit them with a legal letter, put our money towards the lawyer, pay our money, and let's see what happens. And until we jump in the fire and see if it's, jump in the lake and see if it's hot or cold, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we did with Watchdogs. We just jumped out there. It could have crashed and burned in the first month, and yeah, LOPs don't work. You know what? They did work. And now we're getting wiser, we're getting smarter, and we're jumping into more fires. And the next fire we're going to be jumping into is the next person that takes down a mass takedown. We'll get all those people together, and we're coming after. We're going to get legal counsel, and legal counsel is going to take it towards the person that issued the takedowns. And I'm going to say this, here's the shot over the bow. I sure hope you have a brand that's valid and your takedown was valid, because now there's monetary reasoning for us to come after you, and there's going to be monetary damages. So you'd better consider that pretty closely. Most of these trademark holders are you and me. They're guys like us running out of their basement, running a little shirt shop that have figured out how to game the system. And when that letter shows up from whatever so-and-so LLP on their doorstep and says, you've been subpoenaed to this, answer now, I think you're going to see the industry change and go another 180 degree from what we already had with LLPs.
I had suggested just building a spanking machine, but I was overruled. So.
You got your hammer, Dave.
I know. I had to leave. I'm in Orange County tonight. It's in a safe place at my dad's house in Las Vegas. But I am wearing my shirt.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, there you go.
But Amy and Amanda, I want to make this clear. This is not targeted at any one phrase or person. There's nothing personal in this.
Right.
This comes down to an industry that's no longer going to get pushed around.
Right.
And collectively is how we're going to do it, because just you, Amanda, you're not going to be able to do it by yourself.
No.
You're just going to sit there and be mad. But the four of us.
And I think that that's the thing too, is that, you know, I saw some people that were trying to be like, oh, well, you know, it's not nice, whatever, to be everybody's changing, like ganging up on the situation. I'm like, listen, this is what people need to know, is that they're not alone, because right now that's what's happening, is everybody just feels like their hands are tied. And when that happens to where we're like, okay, no, like you're upset about too, you're upset about, hey, by myself, I'm not going to go and take on, you know, all of these different people. When something happens and you start saying, okay, there's support here, there's support here. Now we're starting to realize like what a big issue this is. People are going to need to take action. We're going to need to come together on some of this stuff. And like you said, then we can push back on that stuff to where we feel like we're not just a small little person here anymore. You know, we actually have a voice, and I do believe that this situation is really coming to a head. And I think that it's going to be short-lived for them. I just can't think that, you know, like you said, there's systems in place right now when it comes to both Amazon and USPTO, and they just can't change overnight. The internet changes so fast, different industries change so fast, that sometimes these systems cannot keep up with it. And so that doesn't mean that it's not going to change. It's going to mean that it's going to take probably a little bit of effort and guidance, because those people are not in our world. Like this print on demand stuff, like right now, a lot of us, you know, are just eat, breathe, sleep, all of that stuff, and we get it. A year ago, I really didn't even know what print on demand was. I was like, wait, what? You just do that and they print one shirt and they ship it off? Like, a lot of people don't even know that's a thing. So, I mean, it's going to take a little bit to change that, but I really do think that this is going to be short-lived, because once you start talking about it, it's almost a no-brainer. It's almost common sense about how ridiculous it is once you explain what the system was created for, and then now what it's being used for, and it's absolutely being abused.
You know, I will say that we've already made a difference in the 8 months that we've been doing this. And this is really just us, this group of us, this 5,300 people. The USPTO used to be able to get to an LOP and get it reviewed and accepted or denied in less than 30 days. I knew it was like taking 27, 28 days. That's when I would go check, because that was their charge. We're going to do this in 30 days. It's now taking 6 to 8 weeks. So we've 50% to 100% increase in workload. And because of that, earlier this month, they changed their rules for the better to streamline it for us. Everything, they won't take a paper LOP anymore, because that takes a lot more to process. You have to run it through an OCR thing so that you can read it. Everything has to be filed electronically. And all your responses are only going to come to your email. You must have an email address now to file a letter of protest, because that's how they want to streamline it. So they see what it is, they see that it's working, and they know that we know what we're doing, and they're working on their own processes to make it better for everybody involved. That doesn't stink. And it only took 8 months. I mean, that might sound like a lot. I don't think so. When you're talking about a giant bureaucracy with 12,000 people, that's pretty cool. And that was because of all of us, all the people.
And the fact that you have contact with them is pretty impressive, I think.
You could too. I just call the number. I call the phone. You know, when you get an acceptance or denial, there's a person at the bottom. They tell you who did it, and there's a phone number. And I just, every time I get denied, I call them up and just say, what could I have done better? I don't threaten them. I don't make them feel guilty. It's just like, I screwed up. How did I screw up? Help me out. Help a brother out. And they do. Remember, they have bosses. They have a certain amount of paperwork they have to get through every day, and that's managed and tracked. But they, just like all of us, don't you get that, like a squirrel? You know, that's kind of what they like when I call. It's like, squirrel. Oh, okay, let's talk to him for a little bit. And they're just people. Remember, these are just people that want to barbecue on the weekends. They want to go home and play with their kids. So just give them a chance.
They want no drama, Llama.
That's it. No drama, Llama.
But I don't even focus. I looked at the topic of this Be Live tonight, and drama llama. It's not about drama llama. And yeah, I got pretty heated at the beginning. I've gotten heated, and then I'll get heated in the groups. I've been called every word under the sun in the last 3 months. I'm just waiting for the first so-called death threat. I can see that one coming. Yeah, I got big shoulders. You know what? Want to aim it? Fire your shots at me. Go for it. But I said in the beginning when back in February, I said, boy, give us about a year and a half. I sure hope we have a phone conversation with the USPTO. Remember that, Dave?
I do.
Give us about a year, and the goal is to try and talk to somebody there. Give us a year, and I hope to talk to somebody at Merch Content. Well, USPTO, we were talking to them within, 2 weeks?
Pretty much, yeah.
And we pretty much have somebody talking to them almost any week. Anybody in our mod group will phone them up and get an answer and have more information coming back. Merch, talk all the time. I'll be straight up. Talk all the time with Merch. You saw it at the conference. And it's not a brag. It's just we've worked the networking to the point they understand what we're going through. They understand how much of a problem this is. Their hands are tied. So we do it as a community, or we don't do it. And we've made strides so far that haters are going to hate. They're going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to get emotions into this. They're going to think we're attacking them personally. We're not attacking anybody personally. We're attacking the system, and we're attacking what's going on. And we're not going to stop until we see that this either subsides and trademark trolls go away and stop applying for these, or you start seeing some lawsuits and people standing up and fighting. And when the day that I see a single content creator like you, Amanda, that sells 10 shirts a month, stand up and say, you know what? I have full rights, and I feel fully comfortable with hiring a lawyer at $500 an hour to send this guy a letter, even though I only sell 10 a month, because I know I'm going to beat this guy. That's when we know we've won. That's when we know we've changed the system for the good and for the good of everybody in the community.
Well, I do think that what I was thinking about earlier when everybody was discussing this and there was comments going back and forth, and, people were bringing up some, evidence of the actual registered trademark. And then, somebody was replying, and it was very interesting because I really think that because this is coming to such a head, this is a really great education for the community, because in the beginning, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of, talk about this, and we were a little bit more confused. And now, going back and forth, and I saw some people were being like, it was some aha moments, because there were some new people that were just like, I'm just so confused. You type it in, it's there. Okay. It's a trademark, move on, and I think that now people are really starting to understand, if it's something like that, maybe you don't want to dive into it at the moment, but if it's something that, you have up, like you said, this is something that, kind of want to take seriously. And then they're also going to be really understanding exactly what IP is in general, which again, that is the industry that we're in. That's a huge, huge piece of the puzzle. So just being able to come in and, throw some stuff up. I know there's so many people that we talk to, or in the very beginning, that when they first start, and this is a new thing to them, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to take time for this and this. And I mean, I did it. I'm like, I didn't even know, and I actually had a friend when we first started, she posted a shirt and it said, it's everyday, bro. Okay. And it was by that YouTuber kid or whatever. Well, it wasn't trademarked. So you know what she did? Because this was over a year ago. He hadn't trademarked it yet. However, it was hit. The only reason you're putting that on there is because they're associating with them, whatever Paul do. Okay. So the thing is she was so adamant, because she knew, she checked it. She submitted it and submitted it and submitted it and submitted it and got terminated. And she's like, what the heck? She's like, I know for a fact it's not. And she figured it out afterwards. And she was just really naive. She thought that those were the rules. She thought that if it's not trademarked, it's fair game. Well, again, that was just kind of a little bit of an education moment where hey, that might not exactly be the case. But again, vice versa. Now it's on the flip side. And this is just out of control.
There's so much confusion out there as to what stuff means. And I see this every day in the watchdogs. It's where somebody goes, oh, this is live. Take your shirts down. I'm like, no, please stop that. Please stop that. Live just means it's in process. It becomes live the instant somebody fills out a form and gives the government some money and presses submit. And then it stays live until it's registered or dead. Those are the only outcomes: registered, dead, or abandoned. They're essentially the same thing. So if it's registered, if there's a registration number, not a serial number, yeah, you got to take it down. But if it doesn't, it's live. It's just in the process. And all the data is there on the site. You can figure out where it is in the process. And depending on how risky you feel, you can wait until the day that it gets registered. There shouldn't be taken down just because it's been just live. So something will be filed, let it, you're okay. But keep watch on it.
Yeah, you got to keep watching. And this gets even muddier, because we've seen talk from attorneys and things. I mean, common law trademark. People need to start versing themselves on these things. There's a lot of protections for people that have valid trademarks, that have valid brands, that have valid products that their consumers identify. And that ties to state trademarks, that ties to common law trademarks, regional stuff. I mean, but just because those things are out there doesn't mean I thought up the phrase, I put in my registration with the USPTO, I can now start issuing takedowns. And I've seen people do that. I put in my registration, I have an application, I'm claiming common law, I'm claiming I'm the original guy, I'm going to take everything down. And it's just an absolute misuse of the system. It's an abuse, really. And I want everybody to walk away feeling that the next takedown they got on something that is frivolous like this, that they were stolen from. This is fraud as far as I'm concerned. It's theft. Something was stolen from their business, and wrongly so. Just because you can work the tax code doesn't mean that it's above ground here. Yeah, I worked the system, I made it legal. Doesn't mean that if you got in front of a court of law that it's going to stand up. And the same thing goes with trademarks. One thing, I don't know how much time we got, but Amanda and Amy, I would put a call out to the community. I think we're at the stage now that what Watchdogs really needs, and what this argument needs, is media. We need media to catch this. We need lawyers to catch this, legal aids. If you've got a friend that's at the university, did we lose me?
No, you're
right. No, you're here.
I'm just seeing something flash on my screen. If you're in with a legal school, and somebody wants to write a legal paper, this is a great one. We're calling out to people that have contacts. This is about networking. We need to get this on the front page of media reports. I'd much rather have a TV interview about trademark watchdogs and what's going on than what did Ken sell with merch. I'll be completely honest. I would much rather have a story about networking with people in Merch by Amazon be about how we're changing the industry than it's something about Ken and building his business. None of this is about me. I'm not looking to make a penny off of this, but we need to find who your network contacts are. Think about it. Do you know somebody in the news? Do you know somebody at the paper? Do you know somebody that could flip this story? I mean, come on. Who wouldn't love to have trademark watchdogs on the next Gary V? Come on. We need to take it to the next level and give awareness out there and make it work. So until that happens, we're going to slug. We're going to slug in the trenches. We need to take this to the next level. We need 25,000 members, and we got to make this public. This has got to go.
Yeah. Now, should we contact our representatives and?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Some people have already had that opportunity to meet with some governors, with some congressmen, and this is being pushed up the line. I had a chance about a month ago to meet with a bunch of governors, but I was in Alaska on a family vacation. Any opportunity you get, change the topic, change it over to this, write letters. I've seen people ask for petitions. I like petitions, but where do most petitions go? Unless they're really big, unless they get with the media we're talking about, they kind of go on somebody's desk and say, yeah, that's nice. But all of this collectively comes together to change what's happening. But everybody's got to put a few people to the fire. Everybody's got to put their shoulder in.
I've done a little bit of, that kind of, talking to representatives, senators, folks like that. And the thing that works the best is a phone call. Not necessarily, I want to talk to Senator so-and-so. Ask for the aid the staff member that handles the business issues for their community, and talk to that staff member, because all this stuff is filtered through them and it goes up to the senator or the representative. So you got to get that person. And then the other thing is having a lot of people call about the same thing on the same day. That gets their attention. When the phones ring with a real issue, not just that, you know, I'm upset about I stepped in dog poo today or whatever. It's like something that they can really do something about, particularly if they're on a commerce committee or something like that. Get a few friends that live near you that might be in the same, that are in the same business, and just call up, ask for the staff member, and say, I'm a small business person, and there's these regulations that, although the regulations aren't bad, people are abusing them. They will hear you out. And if you make a good case, your representative and your senator will hear you out, and your governor can hear you out, because trademark issues are regional and statewide also. So don't be afraid to call them. People, they do want to hear from their constituents with good stuff that they can make hay from, so they can raise some money.
Maybe an idea would be, like, within our communities, to sit there and designate a certain day and ask people to use that 5 minutes of your time on this particular day to call your representative.
It would work. I promise you would get attention at least. You may or may not get action. I hope you would, but they would be sitting there in their office going, what the heck happened today? What's ho, ho, ho? I don't know what. Hashtag ho, ho, ho. What? Spaces, no spaces? I don't know. It's a great idea.
Cool. Well, I think that's definitely something that we can kind of work together on, and, you know, whatever, figure out how to get it out to all the groups. I love that they're all, you know, supportive of each other and intertwined anyways. So I think a little bit of planning on that and getting it out to everybody, I have no doubt. I mean, it's going to take a little more effort than changing our profile pictures, I do have to say, but it will have a bigger impact as well. So it's nice that this has, you know, generated a little bit of awareness on this topic. I think that that's probably the biggest point of it. But yeah, no, this has been an incredible show. I think that this is one of the, you know, more serious topics where people are starting to understand that this is not just affecting, I mean, this is big business, you know, and that's why people are getting so fired up about this. People are making a significant income for their families, and, you know, yeah, it's definitely not, they're not going about it the right way. So we got to do something. And thankfully, you guys have been on this for, like you said, 8 months already, which is incredible. And if you're not part of Watchdogs yet, you need to get over there. Like I said, there's videos. Yeah, there's videos on there. And even the bigger thing, I'm going to mention it again. You know, those videos. This is just one talk, you know, that Dave did, and went through and filed a letter of protest on the stage at the merch conference. And they are going to, it's going to be a couple weeks. They're going to have the replays available. So that's going to be a step-by-step process, not to mention the, you know, dozens and dozens of other amazing talks that are on there. And I'm not kidding when I say, I mean, they're high business stuff. So, I mean, I can't wait to get those replays too, because there's a few of them that I already know. We're already working in some of the stuff in our game plan in both of our businesses. And I want to have John be able to check those out with me as well, because he didn't get to come to the event, and he didn't get all that fun swag. So I have to tell you, you guys were on point with all that. I'll be sharing some of the other stuff maybe next time, but this was a little bit more of a serious talk. Yep. So again, appreciate you guys so much. I think there was a good amount of people on here. I think that getting the point across, and now it's just, you know, execute and take action. And thank you guys for leading the way. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep filing frivolous trademarks, and everyone that Dave brings up with his morning coffee gets him fired up. And keep calling me names, because I'll just keep taking it, and that just fires me up. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.